Yo, 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 yo. Shout out to everyone who support FMP. And of course, we are back. FMP Podcast, that's Foundational Manhood Podcast, with me, DS1 Ross, and my brother, the Book of Ronan. And we are back with episode 11. Yes, sir. Episode 11. Spiritual surgery. Let's get into it. Okay, we're back here on FMP, Foundational Manhood Podcast. You can find us over there at Instagram and all over social media, Foundational Manhood Podcast. That's Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter is where y'all can find us. Y'all also can find us on YouTube. We are back with episode 11, Spiritual Surgery, and y'all know how we do on FMP. My brother, 5-minute fire watch. Salute.
All right, salute to everybody. Hope you had a great weekend. And today's message is while they fight pointless battles online, we wage war for our greater selves from within. Now, this is something that's happening in real time. You have a lot of people, these goofy conversations or even skirmishes online, worrying about who's going where, who's doing this, who's doing that. When a lot of us guys, even if we do have the access to do said things, how many times have you seen most of us tear ourselves apart trying to maintain it, trying to entertain people who don't give a shit about us, or even people that won't even honor your peace of mind? Every day when you get up, everything has to count for you. That next breath, that next step, the words you say around you and about yourself. Many of us don't live online. We have too many complications going on offline and internally. That's 100-fold. Some of us are dealing with anxiety. Some are dealing with depression. Some are dealing with the stressors of the world. Some are dealing with the fact that we found out that we've been sleeping with the enemy for far too long. Breaks of communications. Unnecessary losses of people that help guide us or motivate us. People who kept us steady. And now we have to steady the ship on our own, on the fly. When we step outside, there's always that constant threat of extinction. Either creatively or literally. So we have to move with measured steps. Watch who we walk with. Make sure we don't have shitbirds in our fire team as we move. Strengthen our lines of communication, not just around us, but within us. There's some people who understand that the loneliest distance that you can feel is within arm's reach. Some of us are afraid to hold ourselves up to the level that we dream about being. This is what we always say: never allow your comfort zone to become your coffin. Because some people are far too comfortable talking negative about themselves, downplaying their greatness, fearful of standing out. That's why you were made. That's what the fuck you're supposed to do. They say favor ain't fair for a reason. And you've been gifted, blessed, and given many opportunities to show people that a so-called nobody can mean something to everybody. But more importantly, to yourself. So while everyone's worrying about this bullshit that's online, why don't you log into your greater self and download your gifts and see what happens. See how different you can make this world into something more creative, add more life to it with your presence, with your abilities. But it's going to take some work. You're going to lose some people. You're going to lose some sleep. But it's all about perspective. Sometimes you're up at night because something in your head won't let you sleep. It has to get out. You have to flesh it out, whatever your respective canvas is. Because there's no greater pain than being a constipated, creative individual. Because you won't let that shit out. Not just the negative shit, but that positive, life-changing shit that's within you. That's how cancers are made. Don't let those tumors put you in an early grave. It's been your 5-minute fire watch.
Man, shout out to you, bro. That was a hell of a 5-minute fire watch, man. And it definitely ties into today's episode. Spiritual surgery. Great topic, bro, that you came up with. I'm gonna go ahead and get into it. And I want to let brothers know that spirituality is the essence of who we are. If you are considering yourself a man, a masculine man, all masculine men have a certain level of spiritualness to them. And this is where your integrity lies. This is where your resilience lies, your dignity, your honor, all of those things that, all of those words that are used to represent masculinity lies in your spirituality. And there's a lot of us brothers out here who are conflicted internally. And we have to understand that that internal affliction starts spiritually. And spiritual surgery is necessary because healing is necessary in order to continue to live a quality life. You know, a lot of times us as brothers, we're just out here and we're just living. We're just, coming and going. We don't even know if we coming and going. And that comes from men not having that internal guidance. They don't have a purpose because they feel that they're purposeless. They don't feel important. They don't feel valued. But brothers, I'm here to tell y'all that you have to do the internal work in order to experience all of the quality things that you want to experience in life. Because if you want to attract positive quality, high quality things, you must be operating at a certain level within yourself. It has nothing to do with your outside appearance. The outside is just the icing. Like when you make a cake, what makes the cake taste good is not just the icing, it's the ingredients. It's what you put in the cake. And then it's how you bake the cake. It's not just the icing. So when we speaking on spiritual surgery, we're getting into the ingredients. What are you putting in yourself? What are you allowing yourself to listen to? What are you allowing yourself to read? Who are you around? And are these things beneficial or are they only harmful to you? Are you attracting only harmful things in your life, but you're expecting good to come out of it? but everyone around you is toxic. And when you begin to do that set surgery, that assessment, that vetting for yourself, you'll begin to see that even the people that you have around you are representations of you on some level or another. It could be physically, it could be intellectually, it could be emotionally, but you'll never be able to do the correct surgery on yourself if, number one, you keep looking outside yourself and thinking that your money and your education and your career validates who you are. And number two, if you are afraid to see yourself for who you are at this current moment. See, a lot of you brothers are afraid to look at yourself now. But if you are afraid to see who you are now, then you'll never be able to forecast or foresee how you'll be in the future because you are afraid to deal with you now. And the things that you do now does what? Sets things up for the future. So spiritual surgery is necessary, man. And it is something that at the end of the day, fellas, is actually the first priority. And when we say we were taught wrong, that is exactly how we were taught wrong. We were taught to not care about ourselves first. Spiritual. Number one, the relationship between you and God and the relationship that you have with yourself. How you see yourself, how you feel about yourself, how you think about yourself. See, a lot of us as black men, that we weren't taught that. We were taught to treat everybody else nice, to be nice to everyone else, to be respectful to everyone else, to show everyone else how smart we are, to show everyone else, how strong we are. But now it's time to do that spiritual surgery on ourselves. It's on you, bro. What you think about it?
Well, when you look at it, and man, to get personal, in being in those relationships, mainly, when you look at it, there's a reflection of myself. Being in those dysfunctional situations, it was actually me needing to learn those lessons of what I was missing, what I was not giving myself. Got to the point where I basically lost connection with my passion, my first love, art. And in that span of time, about 10, 12 years, been wandering, haven't been my same self, started withdrawing. It's made it difficult to open up to people. Having been burnt in all kinds of ways. Well, not sexually, but once. But just in general by people. You started to become, curl up in a ball, being an empty shell of yourself. So in taking that 4.5-year sabbatical, which I needed to, it needed that repair. You had to do that first assessment. Like usually when you go to the doctor, it's you, your primary care giver, and a trusted person who's going to help deliver you back to the house after that anesthetic. And at the time, I didn't have anybody. And sometimes it's like that. You're going to have to either get down and pray or just sit there in a comfortable space to where you can assess where you're at. Because you get sick and tired of being fucking sick and tired. And you understand that something has to be done. So now that in moving forward, you got to know, you have to understand what you have to do, what they're going to put you under, and explain to you what's going to happen to you in that time. Now, the Most High ain't going to tell you. He's going to show you. But for yourself, You have to really take those measured steps. And sometimes those procedures are not going to have no anesthetic. You're really going to cut your way through, cut certain things out of your life, some especially out of yourself, your negative narratives, people who don't speak life into you. It especially hurts when you have a connection with them, as far as with children or years that you invested or squandered, if you view it that way, with that person. It's going to cut. But you know, if you know the consequences if you don't do said surgery, you're gonna lose everything, especially your mind and yourself. So when it comes down to it, instead of bitching online or just ranting about it, saying I got nagging knees or whatnot, you're gonna have to address them. You're gonna have to. There's no way around it.
I totally agree. You know, at the end of the day, fellas, we can't expect someone to take responsibility or to hold themselves accountable for what they've done to us, and we're not trying to, or we're not seeing or holding ourselves responsible for what we've allowed. And I'm not just speaking about relationships, I'm speaking on a relationship that you have with yourself. Because let's just be honest, fellas, a lot of us neglect a lot, especially black men. We put ourselves on the back burner. You know, we live for everyone but ourselves. A lot of us never really get a chance to live for ourselves because a lot of us grow up. We you know, we got to help our parents. You know, we got to do this, we got to do that. We got to grow up fast. We got to learn to accept certain hardships in life. You know, so I understand where a lot of the issues come from, but do you let the issues linger? Do you just complain about them, or do you do that necessary spiritual surgery? And that spiritual surgery could be cutting people off, could be writing your family, could be certain friends, could be certain places you don't go no more. You know, certain things you don't listen to no more, certain people you don't listen to no more, certain things you don't watch because you understand how it affects your psyche, which then in turn will affect your behavior. So, fellas, I know it's difficult. I know that it's scary and all of those things. But if we're men, if we're men here, we were supposed to be taught or to understand that we have to conquer our fears.
There you go.
Yeah, like I was, we got to understand that we have to conquer our fears, man. Our fears is something that's is real. And maybe we maybe need to do a whole nother show about that, bro. Because you know, black men like to act like we're not afraid of anything. But the black man's feelings and emotions is very fragile. And it is because of us never being able to discuss the shit we was scared of. You know, it was scary growing up in the ghetto. But you don't hear that. You hear everybody with that tough story. Oh, I was just tough. No, you had to be tough. You had to be. It wasn't something you just didn't choose to do that. Your environment called for that. You know, and that's part of the whole spiritual surgical process itself. Well, you got to start admitting to yourself certain shit, fellas. Admit it to yourself. Because at the end of the day, you can lie to everybody else, but you can't lie. You can't lie to yourself, and you can't lie to God. You know the real you, just like God know the real you. So, come on, man. Who you keep lying to? Who you keep lying to? Who you trying to impress? It's 2022, man. Transparency is currency. Healing is currency. And we're not talking about tangible currency. We're talking about intangible currency. The currency that's for you. That's gonna make you a better person. That's gonna empower you. So you can then go out and whatever in you, it's going to reflect out to the world and it's going to shine on other people. Black man, you're a beautiful man. We beautiful brothers, man. It's time for us to get in there, flesh that shit out so we could bring what's really in us out to the world. Because guess what? Just like the world loves to see a shit show from black men, the world loves to see us when we on our shit.
It's real shit. And I think one of the leading causes of our depression is we're fearful of making an organic impression in the world. Because usually when you hit your stride, when you're in your groove, you feel untouchable. Nobody can fuck with you. I mean, especially when people see you in your lane, whether you're a great orator or whatever respective canvas you on, you start working. You gain an audience, both by friend and foe. But this is what we have to stop doing. We have to stop skipping our prescriptions. Sometimes distance is a needed prescription. Sometimes, like as far as like with me in the gym, diet is the greater part of your physical fitness. What you eat, portions measured. Have that cup out there. It's or just getting those attention to details as far as the weight of your food instead of overeating. That's what helps shed the fat, helps sculpt you out. The other part is consistency. I've been on a creative diet for almost 10 years now. And last night, just doing a few thumbnails here and there, just off the head, I was able to start sleeping a little better. Because most times, like, you have a lot of these great ideas in you. It's just you're worried about the backlash of being brilliant or, just the fear of standing out because you're different. This is where we have to stop showing shame and being who the fuck we are. That's our main fucking problem. We don't want to alienate nobody. That's their problem to deal with. You have to be great. You were a you were a purpose before you were a person. That's just real shit. We just have to stand on what we were built for. And for our clothes, like the main thing was like when you treat your passion like your passport, a whole heap of shit opens up. Not just legs, but a lot of doors as far as like people to connect with, opportunities to generate money. Money doesn't even become an issue. It's part of the process. You start building your worth because you show how great you are, learning yourself, learning about yourself and other people around you. Like minds are pulled to you. We just have to being afraid of being brilliant. Don't worry about what Crunchy Foot Carla's chasing after. That's only short-lived. She's looking for the moment. You're looking to make a difference for generations in a lifetime.
Totally agree, bro. I totally agree, man. And brothers, if you're not afraid to go out in the world, go out in society, and become the best you can become, just to turn around and to work for somebody else, to build someone else's future, why can't you have that same tenacity and vigor for yourself? Because you grow up, you go to school for 12 years. Some of us, we go to school for longer than 12 years. Then you come out, you get a career, you work for a company. And for most of us, that's just our life. We work until we retire or till whatever happens. And we try to sustain or manage the little bit that we manage with that life. But just imagine, just sit back and think about all the time and all of the effort and the resources that you've put into that job. You actually are building the life of someone else for someone else. What happens when you begin to just put take that same mentality? I'm gonna go get educated. I'm gonna make sure I'm mobile. I'm gonna make sure I have a career. I'm a professional. I'm gonna make sure that I'm around certain places. I'm in certain environments. Why can't you have that same mentality just for your life and yourself? Why does it take for you to have a job to think about this, to be working for someone else? See, because I'm bringing this up, fellas, because you have to begin to deconstruct or remove you being a employee for the rest of your life. And when I say an employee, I don't mean just monetarily and for job purposes. I'm meaning spiritually. It's something you always say, bro. A simp is an acronym for a spiritually impoverished mule of provision. This is what we're talking about. You being spiritually impoverished, you thinking that you only matter because you giving people what they say they want from you. This is what spiritual surgery is about. Removing those mantras and all of those curses that was put on you for you to remain a robot or a zombie for someone else.
And truth be told, when you're a simp, you're an angry consumer. It's your duty to be creative. You don't have time to complain. You're like, you know what? I'm gonna make a way. Not just around myself, but within myself. And that's what we as men especially have to get out of the habit of doing, pissing and moaning what isn't. We're supposed to oppose environment. And that's why a lot of times we're the biggest hypocrites. That's something I admit to myself. It's like, you're a creative individual. There shouldn't be too much shit you can be complaining about. Like, why? Instead of asking why, I say, why not? How about this? This will be what I need it to be. That's masculine as shit. That's where you let your creative nuts hang. So like, you know what? You can sit there and complain about what you bring to the table. I'm making a fucking house. I'm creating a neighborhood. Creating, a whole world. Especially when you're creative, like when you draw, the universe is just within yourself. You just putting little bits about or examples out of it through your art. Whatever genre it is. But the time for pissing and moaning about who isn't giving you shit, for me, that's up. it's up. It's a matter of time before you achieve it. That's where the mindset is. I'm in the gym on a regular basis. I pushed it like 5-6 days. It's going to get there much sooner than expected, but you got to be consistent. Same thing with your art, what you're able to do, what you want to do. And I put a post on there before where I had my brother. It's like, in 365 days, the very man that looks at you either is going to commend you or condemn you. Invest wisely. Aside from me speaking to myself, this is what me and my brother putting out there to our peers. That's why we don't piss and moan about shit online, because there's a bigger world offline. Things we deal with, mental, spiritual, social, financial. Do we have it together? Not worried about it. We're getting it together. This is how this podcast came to be. Came from two men with an idea, mutual interest, and effort. You got to show your work that used to mean something, but we're not worried about what it used to mean. We're showing it what it means, step by step, day by day. Push through adversity and see the greatest ours, best of ourselves on the other side of it, mistakes and all. But we're gonna get there. We just want a lot of our brothers who are listening to this to, push forward, and we'll meet you on the other side.
Facts. Because at the end of the day, that's what agency is. It's us working together, us pooling our resources together, us understanding that we're stronger together than separate. So me and my brother at FMP Podcast, man, we're just here to assist you brothers, and for you brothers to assist us in what we need help with, because we're our own agency at the end of the day. But we have to be our own. We have to go through a level of spiritual surgery. Some of us, some of us may have to go back to church. Some of us may have to go back to the mosque. Whatever you need to do, there's no judgment here. Whatever help you need. And just understand that this is a necessity in order for you to grow, in order for you to develop into who you want to be, not for you to just get what you want. See, there's a difference. It's a difference between getting what you want and becoming who you want to become. Because if you want to get a new car and you got the money, you could go get the new car. But that don't mean you could stop being a piece of shit. See, one thing doesn't have to do with the other, brothers. This is why today's episode is spiritual surgery. Because this is getting into who you are and who you aspiring to become. So that's my final thoughts. You have any final thoughts, my brother, before we?
I'll say this. Aside from the assessment, sometimes when you look in the mirror, you have to realize you're the fucking problem. The fact that you refuse to put that work in, not just get your bag up or whatever, but what good is it when you have a bag with a bunch of holes in it? You got to plug those holes as far as like interpersonally, socially. You got to be about the business of you, the better version of you. It's not going to be easy. It takes time. It's going to take some exposure about things. But along with the cutting process, as you always say, you got to heal before you build. You're going to have that recovery time to when you cut certain people off, cutting certain habits out. Because when you stop eating certain foods or start doing certain things, you're going to get those temptations to go back to that old shit. That's part of the fight right there. Moving forward, and everybody ain't going to like the changes you make. Fuck them.
True indeed. True indeed. Because at the end of the day, You were the one getting fucked in the beginning. So you just found a way to unfuck yourself. And that is the basis of episode 11 right here, Foundational Manhood Podcast. Shout out to my brother, the Book of Ronan. Make sure y'all follow us on Instagram. Y'all follow us on Facebook and also Twitter and YouTube. Follow us, Foundational Manhood Podcast. This is episode 11. I'm your host, DS1 Ross, my brother, the Book of Ronan. And remember, we're our own agency. And we're going to catch y'all on the next episode. Peace.